Wirth Watching. 56 years and counting.
Welcome, everyone, to Wirth Watching, 56 years and counting. I am Sarah Murphy, sitting alongside the wonderful Craig Wirth, who is already on fire tonight, making me laugh. We're going to have some fun.
We're going to have some fun because, you know, we're going to talk about politics, and politics has not exactly been fun lately.
I was going to say, no one ever wants to sit at a table and talk politics.
It's just been serious and sometimes sad, sometimes infuriating.
It's a little heated.
What else can we say? But we're going to have fun because we're going to look back at some real old pieces, like old political advertisements when it was just all snappy songs. Let's take a look at the way we used to cover old elections, where we had marker pens and paper on the wall, and it was really cool. And speaking of really cool, JFK came to town and the whole town was excited. We're going to take a look at that. And the day I drove the presidential limo, the real presidential limo.
You guys, that is such a good one. I love that one.
I think that we ought to get going.
Okay, you said snappy songs. I want to do that one first.
Well, snappy songs. Got it.
Do you want a man for president who's seasoned through and through, but not so doggone seasoned that he won't try something new?
Yes, a snappy song and a few pictures. Wow, TV seemed that it would really work for political ads. The first presidential election that really used TV was in 1952. And as Utah's first TV station, we got them all.
I'm excited about voting for Governor Stevenson for president.
Of course, Eisenhower won with this ditty.
We got to get where we are going, travel day and night for president. Adelaide, go the other way, we'll all go with I. You like Ike, I like Ike, everybody likes Ike for president.
But Stevenson came back with a song that reminded one of Christmas.
But Stevenson, civilian son, will lead us till the peace is won.
Eisenhower won the Songfest.
Hang out the banner, beat the drum, we'll take back to Washington, we'll take back to Washington.
Political ads looked more like a high school election. All was so swell back then.
Farmer Mac knows what to do, election day of 52. Gonna go out with everyone in the USA to vote for at least Stevenson to keep his farm this way.
Ah, yes, the old days. Now, it isn't that they didn't have negative advertising then. Oh, yeah, they did. Maybe not quite as rough as today.
The famous one is the anti-Goldwater ad. It only ran once.
Vote for President Johnson on November 3rd.
Ever notice what happens to Nixon when the political winds blow? Last year, he said, I oppose a federal open housing law. This year, he said, I support the 1968 Civil Rights Bill with open housing.
Nixon countered.
Who is the one man who has the experience and the qualifications to lead America in these troubled, dangerous times? Nixon's the one.
Then came the feel-good ads. Ah, the mellow 80s.
It's morning again in America. Today, more men and women will go to work than ever before in our country's history. Why would we ever want to return to where we were less than 4 short years ago?
Yep, it was like the White House was more like Little House on the Prairie back then in the ads. Well, come to think of it, it is nice that it wasn't all like modern politics.
Now it's exhilarating to me to think that as president, I could help to change all our people's lives for the better.
worked. Nah, I'm not saying it was all sweet stuff. In, say, 2004, this was a John Kerry ad.
If you're thinking of voting for George Bush, think about this. His tax cuts for the wealthy have pushed the deficit to a record high.
Meanwhile, opponent George Bush questioned John Kerry.
John Kerry and the liberals in Congress voted to slash America's intelligence operations, and weakness attracts those who are waiting to do America harm.
You know, I do miss the real swell old days with swell ads, with songs and signs.
You cast your vote for Kennedy and the change that's overdue. So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you.
Keep singing.
Yeah, that's
so
it.
catchy.
Well, that's what they did then, and it was fun. It was fun. And speaking of fun, election night.
Oh, more to come.
You know, it was so fun to do the stories because they would have a little paper and you'd run up and down and write new totals. No fancy electronics, and we were there all night. You know, just well, we got to watch. You'll see it.
Okay, we have that coming up. Election night through the years. Stay with us. Okay, everyone, we've talked political advertisements, and something tells me, Craig, that we're just going to continue through the evening talking about how many differences there are between now and then.
Differences.
I know.
Election night, we had these risers with red, white, and blue bunting all around, and we would like have people standing there, and they'd go, "Hey, there's another 8 votes in," and we'd cross out the governor's total, put on 8 more votes, and then rip that paper off. It would go all night long, and it was so much fun.
And I know there's a lot of energy now that we feel, but I can only imagine back then with the running around and the physical writing that probably added, yeah?
That and then early graphics. Oh, my goodness. We wouldn't be doing that again like those graphics.
There was nothing digital about election night on TV. It ran on paper and big sets with red, white, and blue bunting, even though we were still black and white TV. And it was always called Election Central. The way it worked is the Tribune got the results first from calls throughout Utah. They scribbled the numbers, and in between dozens of bottles of soda, kids ran back and forth to the TV stations. One of those kids was Jack Gelvin. He would rush the numbers to the people on the set,
where a bunch of people transcribed those numbers onto a big whiteboard. Well, actually, it was a big piece of paper. They used felt pens.
And for some reason, the folks were perched on top of folding tables set in the air.
Nobody had a camera that would go higher than like the knee height of the person who was doing the transcribing of the numbers onto the white paper, and it was always very busy because there were more people than there was room for on the riser.
And then it would be back to the Tribune to get more results. This 1952 promotion showed that the results were available on radio, on the phone, and on KDYL TV. That was our station back then. One year, the Tribune shot a picture the next morning of the janitor who had to clean up hours and hours of results that slowly came in, one call and maybe a dozen votes at a time. And 60 years ago, we advertised that we were using swell, space-aged IBM machines to tabulate the results. But it sure looked cool. Well, maybe not as cool as when we would cut away to the network coverage.
ABC News presents complete nationwide coverage of tonight's Election 72. Brought to you by J.C. Penney.
The strange music and the kind of unfortunate animation. but imagine how far we've come, what we can do now.
McGovern is holding a sizable lead with...
But we did know by 9 o'clock that McGovern had 5,000 votes in Massachusetts. Gelvin worked at the network back then. The graphics. By 1976, ABC seemed to have an abstract of a whale eating dinner as its graphic.
The mind of the guy who was designing the graphics was way ahead of the instrument that he had to use.
And with each election night comes more awesome graphics and whiz-bang technology.
This is an ABC News Special. The 80 vote.
By 1980, TV was doing projections in virtually all races. And by 8:40 our time, ABC projected Ronald Reagan and a prediction in Utah.
In the state of Utah, we are projecting Scott Matheson, the Democratic governor, to win another term there.
But 20 years later, election night had become big time, kind of like Broadway. Okay, we were in the modern era now. There was no turning back.
The 2000 vote.
Ah, but gee, those days of red, white, and blue bunting wrapped around folding tables and all that paper, it was fun.
Should we bring the bunting back?
Oh, we should.
That's so cool.
No, and I know you weren't around on some of those, but it was so fun.
I bet.
And I think the audience was really absorbed in it as they'd watch those numbers change.
You can see, you can get the energy through the camera on the video.
Great.
It's
and
so
speaking
neat.
of energy, do you know when JFK won the election, he won the hearts of the country, even if you didn't like him politically or you did, and he came to Utah and you could see it in everyone's face. We are there.
Welcome back, everybody. Okay, don't be disappointed in us. I went and I tried to find the red, white, and blue bunting to put up, and I couldn't find it right away. So we'll work on that.
We'll guarantee it.
We'll get on that
It'll be
one.
a surprise for them because I don't think that's the way we do things today. But we'll have those tables out and the bunting.
We'll make it look nice. A little throwback, if you will.
There you go.
Okay, we're continuing our talk on politics tonight.
And again, it's just all like that election night. Somebody had to win and somebody had to lose.
Yes.
And back then, when somebody won, that person was president of the United States, and everybody had respect, had a joy for it, and when the president would come to town, it was something. It was really special, and JFK came to Utah, and you wouldn't think of this as great JFK country, but the people turned out in droves. It was really something. I saw on the trip that he was here, I actually saw him in Montana, where I was living at the time in high school, and then he came to Utah from Montana, and again, the whole town would turn out to watch these.
Yeah, we're talking about pulling out all the stops, right? Parades, bands, is that correct? That's
Absolutely. And no matter who you were, you went to see him.
Okay.
Oh, it was quite a moment in Salt Lake City, and it was quite a trip. You see, President Kennedy would take 5 days to see the West, to view a part of America, from small towns to parks to Salt Lake City. Wheat fields and places that he couldn't even fly in by jet.
A landing and a warm greeting at Laramie, Wyoming. Billings, Montana. The crowd at the airport is large for a city of only 53,000. Arrival of the presidential plane at Great Falls, Montana.
Where I saw him on that trip, he would speak at the high school that I would graduate from.
In the Memorial Stadium of Great Falls High School, the president describes the United States as a keystone in the Arch of Freedom.
He seemed to fall in love with the West.
Thoreau was right when he said, "Eastward I go, only by force. Westward I go free."
The press loved the trip. It all seemed like America should be. Cheering crowds and scouts and flags and people with their Kodak cameras. And then it was September 26th. He arrived in Salt Lake City. He thrived on shaking hands. It was a connection. It was the people of Utah and their president among them. And welcome to Salt Lake City. He would come in from the airport on North Temple, just like anyone else who came here at the time.
Now the president then took a right turn and paraded through downtown Salt Lake City. Oh, this was the thrill most in the city were looking for. They lined the streets on both sides,
all to get a glimpse of JFK. People lined up early for the evening parade. It was a time presidents really visited a place and not just rushed in for a political speech and left. This was the time to meet Salt Lake City. The speech would come 2 hours later.
He'll deliver his message at the Mormon Tabernacle in Salt Lake City, an institution universally known for the music of its great choir.
Primary now task is to increase our understanding of our environment to a point where we can enjoy it without defacing it, use its bounty without detracting permanently from its value, and above all maintain a living balance between man's actions and nature's reactions.
It was at Temple Square that the president spoke and the choir sang, and the Department of the Interior was so moved by all of this that they created a film about America the Beautiful and conservation. Yes, for 2 days, it was not just a visit, but a presidential event.
You get the sense of just how big of an event it was with the signs that say, "Welcome, Mr. President," the Tabernacle Choir singing.
Yeah, and you saw Republicans and Democrats
coming together,
standing side by side in that. I don't know, what was your first presidential campaign you covered?
Honestly, the past two, really. So it's recent and
it's
very different.
Oh,
very different.
Yeah,
you can see.
It's just so different. And you could walk out on the street. Now, I actually could tell you, I didn't put this in any script. Or I can tell you, my mother held me up in 1952 as a baby when Richard Nixon came to campaign, and my mother held me up and he came over and kissed me.
No,
yeah,
Greg
that was
Wirth.
So that would have been the first president.
Kissed by a president.
I don't know.
What
Maybe
a fun fact, you guys. That's
in.
A treat that you just heard that from Greg. We don't know. That's new information, Greg.
That is. Isn't that something? But that's how innocent it was back then when the president came to town. Now, I don't know if I approve of that, but that's what they did.
Okay. Well, Craig has a lot of interesting stories, as we know. And not only were people walking the parades, you had a special drive, didn't you, at some point?
Oh, yeah. I got to drive the presidential limo.
How neat is that? Look how cool this video. This is one of my favorite Craig Wirth stories. Stay tuned for that. That's coming up, everybody. Okay, our talk on politics and the years from it continues here tonight. We got a special one when Utah had a special visitor, Craig.
Well, well, they had the presidential limo, because the president always comes to the limo, you know. And it's not like I stole the car. I did ask permission, and it isn't like they said yes, but they didn't say no. So I took the presidential limo for a spin in Salt Lake City, kind of a joyride. I've never done that before. Great. So why not start with the presidential limo? So that's what we did. We had a lot of fun.
Oh, and it sounds like it. Let's take a look, shall we?
You've maybe seen stories about the presidential limo. Today, it's sort of a Cadillac called the Beast. We've always seemed to be fascinated by the presidential ride. Now in 1984, just before President's Day in February to be exact, President Reagan got one of the most customized and sophisticated cars to date. Oh, it was big news. He and it became iconic symbols all across America. Years ago, President Reagan's limo was on display here in Salt Lake City. Car dealer Jerry Seiner knew some folks who apparently knew some folks, and here it was.
The President of the United States would sit right where we're sitting. And how many conversations were there with other world leaders or with Kissinger? And whenever I get in it, I just get that kind of feeling.
A clean one owner with bulletproof windows and a cool seal on the door. I asked if I could drive it back then.
Now, it isn't that they said I could drive it. It's more that they did not say that I could not drive it.
Yes, so I did. Now let me tell you, this was a tight squeeze getting it out the door. And also the front end was down the hall and almost into the men's room. This wasn't a small car. Well, I got it into the lot. It actually was kind of a lethargic tank. It was so heavy.
They have that triple glass, and I've been told that this would probably take a larger hit than a tank.
Now I wondered, where should I go? Well, I thought it would be cool to stop at UTA bus stops and pick up people. Kind of an Uber presidential service to help balance the budget. People were amazed.
I felt like the president sitting in there, yeah.
And how about you?
And I felt like the Mrs. President.
Then I had a presidential inspiration. I saw an opportunity down the road. Could I get it through a McDonald's drive-thru? Yep, an honest-to-goodness McDonald's drive-thru.
Hamburger and a small Coke.
After all, even though I'm a vegetarian, a hamburger is fitting because the president is the big cheese. No free lunch, even if you are the prez. But you do get a laugh. I'm surprised, though, she didn't call the police. Here, Mr. President. Good grief, no cup holder in the whole car. Oh, the greatest feature is this, a shut-out the driver window. Yes, my fellow Americans, this is quite a car. And by the way, it had good tunes for the day. The only bad thing, it did not get Channel 4 on the TV. Get the Secret Service on that immediately.
You know, I kind of get the idea that maybe now they wouldn't let you do that. You know, drive the presidential limo.
Craig Wirth, only you would take the presidential limo to McDonald's. They let you do that?
Well, they let me, again, they didn't say no.
You didn't ask. You didn't ask.
You just don't ask a lot. Now, today, you wouldn't do any of that.
Like, what a different time.
It was, that kind of sums up what politics was. At one time, it really was fun. I'm not saying that it's not enjoyable at times, but it was just a very, I don't want to use the word necessarily innocent, but it was not like it was today. It just wasn't this big manufactured event.
And I'm sure you've seen, like you mentioned, a lot of changes through your years of covering politics across the country in journalism.
Yeah.
What a time. And what a fun thing, though, to look back. That was such a treat, Craig. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate your work. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you back here next time for Wirth Watching, 56 years and counting.